Open up your MTT. This is a test review on Chapter 3. The best way to use this video is to pause the video, copy the problem, solve the problem, then play the video to check the problem. Let's begin. The first thing we're going to be finding is x-intercepts. Remember, when we're dealing with an x-intercept, that means that your y is 0. So all you need to do is substitute in 0 for y. So it's going to be 4x minus 2 times 0 equals 8. 4x minus 0 equals 8. 4x equals 8. Divide by 4, divide by 4. X is equal to 2, so 2 is your x-intercept. Again, for x-intercepts, y is always 0. So we're going to substitute in 0 for y. 1/2 x plus 2 times 0 is equal to 6. 1/2 x plus 0 is equal to 6. 1/2 x is equal to 6. To make that fraction go bye-bye, flip the fraction and multiply. So it's going to be 2 over 1, 2 over 1. So x is 12. So our x-intercept is 12, 0. To find the 0 of an equation is simply the same as finding the x-intercept. And so we're going to find the x-intercept for each of these equations. Now remember that f of x is really y, negative 4x plus 6. That means we're going to go ahead and put the 0 in for y, because we know for every x-intercept, the y value is 0. 0 equals negative 4x plus 6. Now when we ask is a variable on the left, it's not. So what we're going to do is we're going to do symmetrical or post-it notes. So imagine writing it on a post-it note, peeling the post-it notes off, and then flipping them onto the different sides. So now this is going to be negative 4x plus 6 is equal to 0. We're going to 0 pair out our 6. Negative 4x is equal to negative 6. Divide by negative 4, divide by negative 4. And x is going to give us positive 6/4, which we're going to simplify to positive 3/2. So our 0 for this equation is 3/2, 0. All right, remember that f of x is y. So it's going to be y is equal to negative 5x minus 10. Again, we're going to put our 0 in for y is equal to negative 5x minus 10. We need to ask ourselves, is the variable on the left? It's not. Now here, it's simple enough to go ahead and 0 pair the 5x back over. So we have 5x now on the left. 5x equals negative 10. Divide by 5, divide by 5. X is equal to negative 2. So our x-intercept is going to be negative 2, 0. Now we're going to find the slope and label it. To find the slope, we take x1, y1, x2, y2, and put it into our m equals slope formula. y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So slope is equal to negative 2 minus 5, negative 1 minus negative 1. Again, when do we subtract? Never. We add a line, change the sign, add a line, change the sign. So we're going to have m, or the slope, is equal to negative 7 over 0, which means this slope is undefined. All right, let's do another one. x1, y1, x2, y2. The slope is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Slope is equal to 2 minus 2 over negative 2 minus 3. We're going to add a line and change the sign, add a line and change the sign. So now we have m is equal to 0 over negative 5. So this is a 0 slope. x1, y1, x2, y2. Slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Slope is equal to 4 minus 5 over 3 minus 2. We're going to add a line, change the sign, add a line, change the sign. Slope is equal to negative 1 over 1, so that's going to be a negative slope. x1, y1, x2, y2. Slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So slope is equal to 5 minus 3 over 4 minus 1. Add a line, change the sign, add a line, change the sign. So slope is going to be equal to 2 over 3, which is a positive slope. To determine if an equation is linear or not, we have to be able to put it into standard form. So the first thing that we're going to do is look to see is if our x term is on the left, is he first, is he positive, and is he an integer? So on question number 1, the x term is on the left, he is positive, he is first, and he is an integer, so he's looking good. We're going to look for our y. Our y needs to be on the left, and it needs to be second. In this case, the y is on the right, so we're going to need to zero pair that y off. So now we have 2x minus y is equal to 4. We're going to look at the x term. The x term is first, he's positive, he's an integer, and he's on the left. The y term is second, he's an integer, and he's on the left. And the constant is on the right, and he's an integer, so that is in standard form. The next equation we're going to look is the x on the left. He's not, and the easiest way to get him over there is to post-it note it or do symmetrical. So it's going to be 3x plus 2 is equal to y. Now my x term is first, he's on the left, he's positive, and he's an integer. However, my next term is the constant, so we're going to go ahead and zero pair out that 2 to get him out of the way. So now we have 3x is equal to y minus 2. Now we need to get the y on the left, so it's going to be zero pair out the y, and we have 3x minus y is equal to 2. And we're going to check our x term is first, he's positive, he's an integer, and he's on the left. Our y term is second, he's an integer, and then also on the left, and our constant is an integer, and it's on the right. And our greatest common factor for 3, negative 1, and 2 is 1. And if you look back at number 1, our greatest common factor for 2, negative 1, and 4 is also 1, so our greatest common factor is 1. Now this next one, we have fractions, so let's get rid of the fractions. The least common multiple for 2 and 4 is 4, so we're going to multiply the first term by 4, the second term by 4, and then the constant by 4. That's going to give us 2x plus 1y is equal to 4. Our 2 is first, he's positive, he's on the left. Our second term is y, and he is on the left, and he's an integer. And our constant is on the right, also an integer. All of them are integers. All of them have the greatest common factor of 1, so we're on standard form. Here, there's nothing that we can multiply to get the x and the y out of the denominator, and so this is not able to be in standard form, so it is not linear. Remember, every equation that we can put into standard form makes it linear. This one, our y is on the wrong side, so we're going to zero pair out the 5y. Zero pair out the 5y, so it's going to have 3x minus 5y is equal to 0. Don't forget to put that 0 in there. Greatest common factor is 1. X term is on the left. He's first. He's positive. He's an integer. Y term is on the left. He's second, and he's an integer, so this is in standard form. Now we're going to graph. In order to graph, we need to solve for y. So we're going to do x plus 2y minus 4 is equal to 0. We're going to zero pair off our 4. And we're going to get x plus 2y is equal to 4. Now we're going to zero pair off our x. We have 2y is equal to negative 1x plus 4. Divide by 2, add our 1 in there. so that we can see it for our slope, and then divide by 2. So we're going to have y is equal to negative 1/2 x plus 2. We're going to go ahead and do our function table. So we have x and y. We'll do negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2. It's going to be negative 1/2 times negative 2 plus 2. So negative 1/2 times negative 2 is going to be a positive 1 plus 2 is going to give us a 3. Negative 1/2 times negative 1 plus 2 is going to give us a positive 2.5. Negative 1/2 times 0 plus 2 is going to give us our 2. Negative 1/2 times 1 is negative 1/2 plus 2 is going to give us our 1 1/2. And negative 1/2 times 2 is going to give us a positive 1. Oop, that should be a negative 1. Negative 1 plus 2 is going to give us a 1. And now we're ready to graph. Negative 2, 3. Negative 1, 2.5. 0, 2. 1 is going to be 1.5. And 2 is going to be 1. And that gives us our slope, and it's negative. Here we have to remember to add in our 0. And so now we're going to go ahead. I'm going to use negative 3, negative 1, 0, 1, 3. So 1/3 times negative 3 plus 0. And that's going to go ahead and give us our negative 1. 1/3 times negative 1 plus 0 is going to give us negative 1/3. 1/3 times 0 is going to give us our 0. 1/3 times 1 is going to give us our positive 1/3. And 1/3 times 3 is going to give us our positive 1. We're going to go negative 3, negative 1, negative 1, up negative 1/3. And we're going to go to 0, 0. And then we're going to go to 1 positive 1/3. And then we're going to go 3, 1. And that's going to give us our positive line. We have a sequence that we need to write our equation for. So our A1 is going to be 35. And our D is going to be positive 4 because you can see we're going up by 4. We're going to use our equation. AN is equal to A1 plus N minus 1 times D. AN is equal to 35 plus N minus 1 times 4. So we're going to do AN is equal to 35 plus 4 times N minus 1. AN is equal to 35 plus 4N minus 4. So AN is going to be equal to 31 plus 4N. AN is equal to 4N plus 31. That's going to be our equation. In order to find our 8th term, so the 8th term is equal to 4 times 8 plus 31. So that's going to be our 8th term is going to equal 32 plus 31, which is going to be 63 for our 8th term. And now you've reviewed for your test.